here in Utah. The Supreme Court found that it was a serious question whether the near total abortion ban violates Utahns' rights in the Constitution. That includes the right to bodily autonomy, bodily integrity, the right to care for one's family, and the right to gender equality. While the court did not decide at this procedural stage whether the ban violates those rights, it did reject the state's argument that the Utah Constitution must allow Utah to ban abortion. So in this ruling, the Supreme Court highlighted that the harms that the near total abortion ban would cause to Utahns who seek abortion and to those medical providers who care for them would exist. For example, the court acknowledged the evidence of the physical, emotional, and financial impact SB 174 would have on women who would be required to carry unwanted pregnancy to term. This decision confirms that Utahns will remain protected from those harms and that abortion will remain legal in Utah while the litigation challenging the near total abortion ban continues. There's someone that's wanting to get in, so I'm gonna let them in. There we go. So I think at this point, I'd like to kick it off. That's our statement and our position. So I'd like to kick it off to any of you in the room who would like to ask questions. We also have our legal team here with us, including Lisa Peterson next to me, and our attorneys who help litigate the case, as well as from PPFA, as well as the ACLU. So as they field some questions, we'll let them introduce themselves and take it from there. I see a hand up. So yeah, do you want to?
You should be able to unmute yourself. If you can't, okay, there you go.
Hi, Catherine. This is Emily Anderson Stern from the Salt Lake Tribune. I just wanted to know your response to Senator Dan McKay's remarks today that he is asking for a special session to roll back Utah's current gestational ban from 18 weeks to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I saw that, and I will say I'm not surprised that that statement was released. And, you know, at this point in time, we will wait for anything new to develop as we continue to litigate our current case. And should something new develop, we'll be right there. We'll be ready to go.
One follow-up question, as far as, you know, being ready to go, is there a possibility that that could be wrapped into the current case?
I don't think it would be wrapped into the current case. I'm not an attorney, so that might be something better answered by someone with that degree.
Camilla, do you want to?
Sure, yeah, to answer your question, Emily, I think it would depend on what the contours of that development are. You know, we'll keep all of our tools in our toolkit, but we sort of have to see what that looks like if it does come to pass.
Thank you.
I think there might be in the chat. There's
There's a hand up too.
Okay. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question.
Sure.
It's a little bit hard for us to see the hands up.
It's Ben Winslow with Fox 13 News. Just calling, or just asking, in light of this ruling and the contours of it and what the legislature does, there may also be the potential for a constitutional amendment to seek to enshrine an abortion ban. Are you considering maybe the inverse, a proposed citizen ballot initiative in light of the court's ruling on those, on right to reform government? I just am curious your thoughts on that.
Yes, that is something that we've talked about. You know, we're in I guess the early stages of that discussion and what that might look like and looking at the framework to do that. But, you know, we're seeing this happen in several states across the country, and we're also seeing that those ballot initiatives are successful. So I myself, as a representative for Planned Parenthood, definitely have an appetite for that. So we'll see what comes. Yes.
Go ahead, Brian.
Hi, Brian Malahy with KUTV Channel 2. Appreciate the opportunity. Today, the pro-life leaders at the Capitol said that the Utah Supreme Court has ruled against life and for a corporation. Your reaction to that?
it's not about a corporation. That's interesting. I hadn't heard that one. This is about the patients that are seeking healthcare, and we are here to take care of those patients, and that is our main goal, is to make sure that the folks who come to us seeking care are able to obtain that care without having to travel hundreds of miles out of state.
And to the statement that human life is being lost while this litigation continues, what is your response to that?
You know, the patients who come to see us are humans too, and they also have lives that they are trying to live. This is a very personal decision. The government stepping in the way and trying to force pregnant people to follow the path that they think should be followed. They're governing people and they're invading their privacy. And, again, we are here to provide the health care that people need and that they desire.
It looks like Cade has a question in the chat, but also has their hand up now. Cade?
You kind of already alluded to this in some of your answers, but we have lawmakers like Governor Cox saying they're hoping this is just a temporary setback for their agenda. With this ruling coming down, are you treating this as just a temporary win rather than a win? How do you respond to that?
It's one step, right? It's another step as we follow these procedures and continue down the road to fight for our patients' access to health care. Calling it a setback, that's interesting. We have no way of knowing how this is going to play out in the end through the court case. It'll be remanded back down to the originating court. We will continue to litigate this issue, but I see this as a victory today. The Supreme Court, I believe, sent a message in how they interpreted the Constitution in this state, and that the ban restricts certain rights that are enshrined in that Constitution. So having that message and having this opinion is a victory. And again, as we move on through this court case, we will continue to I can't even think of we will continue to fight. It honestly, this is a battle. They're I don't want to say they're waging war against the people of this state, but in a sense they are. They're restricting people's ability to live their lives the way they want to live their lives.
This is Bridger Bielsavetko with KSL.com. I'm wondering, in his dissenting opinion, Chief Justice Durant seemed to think that Planned Parenthood doesn't have standing to sue on behalf of the patients for those harms. I wonder if you could address that a little bit and explain kind of how you feel on that issue of standing.
So I think we ought to have Camilla Vegas from Planned Parenthood Federation of Association of America, and she is the person who did the legal arguments in front of the Supreme Court. So we'll see if she can respond to that question, as it's a specifically legal question.
Sure, I'm happy to take that. Thank you. As the majority found in the opinion, PPAU has standing to assert the third-party rights of its patients. It has a close relationship to those patients, and it really is it's speaking for them. And so respectfully, we disagree with the Chief Justice's dissenting opinion on that point, and we do think the majority got it right. That is what all of the case law in Utah tells us. It is what the U.S. Supreme Court case law tells us. This should not be something that's up for debate.
Great. Next question is in the chat from Amanda at the Herald Journal. With how long it took for the Utah Supreme Court to release a decision on the injunction, how long do you think the litigation will continue? Are you all right with the litigation dragging on?
Again, I'll kick that out to Camilla.
Sure, Kat. So the next step, as Kat was saying, is this case is going to go back to the district court, and we are going to start the process of getting ready to, get a decision on the merits of this case. We are in this fight for as long as it takes to make sure that Utahns have right to control their bodies, their lives, and their futures. And certainly we are invested in doing this correctly. These are big questions. They are complicated questions. They should be fully aired in litigation. And that is what we plan to do. We hope that we get a timely resolution from all the courts involved. But we're here to see the litigation through.
Yeah, Ben?
Yeah, this is a question for Camila. I just wanted to know from a legal standpoint, if the legislature enacts anything such as a gestational ban or any other legislation, would this have a direct impact on the case, or does it need to be separate litigation, however they mount that, any kind of a legislative response?
I think it's really going to depend on what the legislature does and how they do it and how it links up. Obviously, there are common questions to all of these issues, and this case clearly, when it is decided ultimately on the merits, it's going to provide a lot of guidance for parties on both sides to really know how to move forward. We do think that the Supreme Court opinion it lays down some guardrails, right? And it gives both parties a little bit of notice of what is and is not likely to succeed. And so again, we'll really have to see what that legislation looks like when, if something like that happens.
Katie?
Hi, thank you. Katie McKellar with Utah News Dispatch. I was just wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on, what kind of impact would come from the legislature restricting 18 weeks to 6 weeks. What kind of impact would that have in the state?
I'll take that one. Look at any of the states that currently have a 6-week ban. Look at Georgia, look at Florida, and look at the harm that has come from those bans. And again, not even just a total abortion ban, but when you're talking about a 6, an 8, a 10, or a 12-week ban, that limits the ability for a woman to seek the care that she desires. It causes harm. We know that abortion bans cause harm. There are already multiple studies out since the Dobbs decision 2 years ago about the maternal mortality rates are increasing. Infant mortality rates are increasing. Those are the things that we're going to continue to see. So if this state wants to adopt a 6-week ban, the same thing will happen here, and there will be harm.
Yeah, Brian?
So I just want to follow up on a question that I asked previously, and thank you. Again, with the group this morning and the news conference, they said lives are being lost as this litigation continues. Do you dispute that?
Yeah, let me think of a way to frame my thought on that. That is their opinion, right? That is not the same opinion necessarily that I hold. So they can frame it in any way that they want to frame it. What I know is that patients are seeking health care, and we are here to provide that care, from abortion to STI testing to cervical cancer screenings and treatment, and to birth control access. So I really don't have a lot more to say on the comments that they made this morning in their press conference, but that's my position.
And the other contention is that this is a loss for them, but they expect to prevail in the end. Do you expect you'll prevail in the end?
You know, I don't have a magic 8 ball. So we will go through the court system, we will follow all of the procedures, and we will continue to litigate, and we'll see what happens in the end.
We're certainly confident in our position.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Taylor Stevens with Fox 13 News. Kat, you spoke a little bit earlier about the impact of people traveling. Obviously, the injunction still in place today means women are not going to have to travel that wouldn't have, yesterday. Can you talk a little bit about the impact, though, of, if there was a 6-week ban, what that could mean for people in Utah and people in other states who we know have been traveling to Utah for some of these procedures?
Oh, absolutely. You know, what we know about a 6-week ban is that, and I'm working from a little bit of an assumption when they say a 6-week ban, they could mean a cardiac activity ban, which is how these other states have framed their bans. So this is also at a point before many women even realize that they're pregnant, or have taken a pregnancy test and understand that they have a pregnancy, and women are rushed to make a decision about how to proceed. It causes emotional stress. There is additional stress and pain for the family unit that may exist. And then you think about the monetary piece of this. If a woman wants to have an abortion and she comes to a health center and has an ultrasound and she's 6 weeks in one day, or there's cardiac activity, she's forced to then travel out of state. So there's additional expenses for travel, childcare, missing work. All of those things play into this hardship and the harm that even a 6-week ban would cause.
Thanks, Taylor, for that question. Any other questions?
May we just get names? Is that names and spellings, please?
We can certainly do that. You know, there's one last, I think, parting comment that I want to make, and that is that Planned Parenthood Association of Utah is a healthcare provider. We provide essential services to the people of Utah all across this state. That includes all of those things I mentioned before. We're not going to back down. So if they want to go into legislature, if they want to pass a new ban, if they want to create more hardship for the people of Utah, we're going to be here to help fight for the people who can't. We're committed to health equity. We'll be bold and unapologetic, and we will make sure that everyone has, it to the best of our ability, the power to control their own bodies, their lives, and their futures.
Pat, will you just say your name?
Yes.
Spell it?
Yes.
And then we'll do the same for Lisa and Camilla. Those were the only speakers we had. And again, if we're happy to stay on if there's additional questions, but we'll let everyone say their names and spell them for everyone.
Yeah. I'm Catherine Boyd. It's KATHRYNBOYD.
I'm Lisa Peterson, LISA PETERSEN, and I'm General Counsel for Planned Parenthood Association of Utah.
And I'm Camilla Vega, CAM, like Mary, ILA, VHA, and I'm a staff attorney at Planned Parenthood Federation of America.
Any final questions? Okay, thank you all for joining us. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I just had one more for Kat. As far as, you know, the legislature weighing potentially a 6 weeks gestational ban, how does it impact pregnant people in the state to constantly be changing the abortion laws and the rules that people are having to follow?